What's up, guys? Today we're going to be looking at 5 legit Super Bowl contenders and 5 pretenders for this next NFL season. Some of these teams are being hyped up by everybody, and I don't think they have what it takes to make it to a Super Bowl. So, starting us off with our first pretender, may come as a surprise, the Buffalo Bills.
I love it. I love the Bills as a pretender here, Trev.
Yeah, I think we look at the Bills' previous 4 seasons with Josh Allen, and the moral of the story is they can't win big games. They lost by 17 points at home to the Bengals last year in the divisional round. They lost to Kansas City, and I get Mahomes did some magic in 13 seconds, tied the game in overtime, but you still lost that game. I think Buffalo, with the controversy of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, I think that there's a lot of question marks there, and I'm not sold on them as being a contender, and I think they're hyped up to be every single year, and I think we need to face reality that maybe Josh Allen isn't the quarterback to win big games.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you brought up a very valid point with the controversy. You know, Stephon Diggs did want out for a portion of time. I think that that's kind of subsided, and I think he's pretty, full speed ahead with the Buffalo Bills now at this point. But you got to imagine that there's some lingering thoughts and some maybe negative energy in the locker room because of that. I think another point that might will hurt the Bills a little bit is Nyheim Hines is done for the season. He's not playing a single game this year because of the injury he had, unfortunately. So I think that hurts him. I don't know if James Cook can really be a lead back there in Buffalo, but we'll see. I think the Buffalo Bills are definitely pretenders this year in the NFL.
Yeah, and they're kind of rolling with the same team that they had last year. And I'm like, when you're rolling with the same team that you had last year, losing in the second round of the playoffs by 17 points to a team that didn't even make the Super Bowl, how is that getting better? Like, what, you just hope Josh Allen plays better next year? Yeah. Like, you didn't do anything really to set you over the edge, and that's where I think Buffalo is going to be a pretender. Maybe a hot take, but that's where I have them.
Yeah, but next up on the list, we have the New York Jets. The reason I said that is because I think the Jets are going to be the Denver Broncos of last season. You know, the New York already has a great defense, very eerily similar to how Denver did. They were just a quarterback away from having a very complete team. And you saw how that worked out in Denver. And obviously, I think that the Denver situation might have been a more head coach issue. But I don't know. Aaron Rodgers coming in, he's not been known to be one of the nicest, friendliest, player-friendly quarterbacks around. So I don't know. We'll see how the Jets kind of get along. And I think that there's a lot of moving parts there. New quarterback, brand new system. Are these guys going to cohere and have good team chemistry? I don't know. So I think there's a lot of question marks in the air for New York, but I don't think that they are contenders anywhere close to be.
Yeah, I want to take you down a little trip down the New York Jets roster. Let's look at who they have at running back. A good Breece Hall. Who did Green Bay have? Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, arguably better. Let's look at, one of the bottom O-lines in the league. Green Bay, one of the top O-lines in the league. Receiver-wise, a young receiver in Garrett Wilson, young receiver in Christian Watson. Alan Lazard played on both Green Bay last year with Aaron Rodgers. You're keeping Aaron Rodgers the same at quarterback when he played with Green Bay last year. He's now on the Jets. Let's turn it to the defensive side of the ball. Sauce Gardner, one of the best corners in the league. What does Green Bay have? Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in the league. Quinton Williams, one of the best D tackles. Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, some of the best D linemen in football. Oddly similar to a Green Bay team that only finished 8-9 last year. So, how am I supposed to think that the Jets are going to go in and finish with 12 to 13, even 11 wins on a team that I think was the same as Green Bay? Look at oddly similar. And might I add, I think Green Bay's roster might be better simply because of the O-line. They had an all-pro middle linebacker in Devondre Campbell. Yes, maybe Garrett Wilson's better than Christian Watson, but you can't tell me that is the one piece that's going to give them 4 wins when they're even in a harder division than last year.
Completely agree. I think you made some very, very valid points there.
Looking next at the Jacksonville Jaguars as your next pretender. And I think this team is up and coming. I think they're young. I think they're good. It's just not their year yet. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence, they need a couple more guys on that team. They finally made the playoffs last year. Now they're good. They're going to win their division. They might even win a playoff game or two, but I don't think that they're in that contending tier yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the key word you said there was young. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have the sky as the limit for them in the next 5+ years. I think that they are going to be a very good franchise for the next coming decade, maybe even. But like you said, they are young. I don't know if the team has the experience yet that they need to win big playoff games. But they have a good leader in Trevor Lawrence. They have a great receiving core. They also just got back, dare I say it, Calvin Ridley. I think he'll finish as the receiver 1 for them this year. But that being said, I think that there's still a couple more years to be had before Jacksonville can make a really, really deep playoff run and maybe even make a Super Bowl. But it's not their year yet. They are pretenders as of now. Next up on the list, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Now, maybe this is a surprise to some. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But the Ravens added a couple receivers. I don't think that's really going to be enough to send them over the edge. They got Odell Beckham Jr., who hasn't played football in a year. I don't know if he still can perform the way he has been able to on the Jets. The Rams, he kind of had some success, but I don't know if he's still able to produce the way he was when he was younger. Lamar is still dealing with that lingering injury, so that could be a piece of doubt for the Ravens. I don't know. I don't think the Ravens are ready to be a Super Bowl contender just yet.
Yeah, 100%. You know, the addition of Odell, like when he was on the Giants, I don't know if he's ever going to get back to that form. And Lamar Jackson is one of the most injury-prone quarterbacks in the league. And maybe with this new contract, he's willing to put more of his body on the line. But I don't see the Ravens as Super Bowl contenders. I don't think their defense, I don't think their offense is polarizing enough to push them over or maybe even win their division against teams like Cincinnati. The next pretender I have is the Miami Dolphins. Mm-hmm. And this might not come as a surprise now that Jalen Ramsey will be out for a majority of the season with his injury. But Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, yes, that's good, but we're still dealing with Tua's injury. There's doctors that said he shouldn't even be playing football with all the concussions he was able to get last year. And honestly, he needs to put his health in front of his football career, because if he gets more concussions, we might be talking more of a bigger injury. And I think Miami, yes, they have some star-studded talent. Defensively, I don't think that they're willing, or I don't think that they're able to be a top defense that'll put them over the edge, especially with the loss now of Jalen Ramsey.
Completely agree. I think that defense wasn't the best to begin with. I mean, it definitely got better with Jalen Ramsey, but damn, maybe the Rams they knew something that we didn't, because it seems like they might have won this trade now, getting a 3rd-round pick for an injured Jalen Ramsey. But I agree. I think Tua's too big of a question mark there on the offensive side of the ball, and with the quarterback being the most important position on any football team, if you have doubt at the quarterback position, I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl
100%
with that. So we'll see if Tua can stay healthy for the season or not. I think it all depends on that. Whoa. Hold on. Before we go any further in today's video, what are you doing? Have you hit the subscribe button yet? If you haven't, go down there, hit the subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment, do all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys for viewing the video. But without further ado, let's get right back into the program. Moving right along, we're going to switch gears here a little bit. We're going over the contenders side of things, starting right off with, obviously, your Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think we really need to say much about this team. They got Patrick Mahomes, arguably the greatest quarterback in the league right now, and maybe goes down as one of the top quarterbacks to ever do it, period. They also got Travis Kelce. So many bright spots on this team here. One of the best coaches as well, might I say. Big Red, Andy Reid, over there on Kansas City. So I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are primed and ready to make just as deep of a playoff run and maybe even make it right back to the Super Bowl where they are, it seems like, every year now.
Yeah, I mean, one key word you said is Mahomes. I think you could stick Mahomes and Andy Reid on the Chicago Bears and they would end up going to the Super Bowl. Either way, Kansas City, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions, and I get that just because you're the Super Bowl champions in the previous year doesn't mean you're going to be contenders in every year. We saw the Rams last season, but Mahomes is just that X factor. He's that difference maker. But to a team who has multiple X factors, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Seems like they get another X factor every season, every offseason. They got Jalen Carter. They keep getting guys. They still have A.J. Brown. They still have Skinny Batman and Devontae Smith. Now they have DeAndre Swift running at the running back position. Maybe that's an upgrade from Miles Sanders. Maybe it's not. But Jalen Hurts is still going to be there. He's now got another year under his belt in his third season. He's made the playoffs every year he's been in Philly, and I just think that this team, that defense, I don't think that you can find a weakness on this team right now.
No, not at all, Travis. I mean, literally the best offensive line in football, period. Literally the best defensive line in football, period. And everything starts on the line. If you can win at the line of scrimmage, you're gonna win some football games. That's for damn sure. Another thing I love about the Eagles going into this season is I heard that Jalen Hurts was taking that Super Bowl loss to heart, and he put it on himself because of that fumble that was returned for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And I think Jalen Hurts is going to come back with a vengeance this year. And not only that, the Eagles were able to maintain their same roster. And not only that, they got better.
Yeah.
They got better. And they made the Super Bowl last year. So
100%.
They are going to be 100% contenders in my eyes.
Yeah.
Moving right along, the next team we have here, another obvious choice, the Cincinnati Bengals. And although Joe Burrow was just seen hurt and carted off with a calf injury, I think reports are saying that he's going to be back in time to play week 1, only going to be out a month. And we already know the Bengals are one of the most explosive offenses in football. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon, you name it, they have it. That offense might be the best offense in the league, hands down, period.
No, I agree. I mean, they have so many X factors on the offensive side of the ball. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and Joe Burrow is the biggest X factor of them all. He's probably the top 2 quarterbacks in the league, right behind Patrick Mahomes. And yes, you lose J.C. Bates on that defense, but they definitely drafted well. They got Jordan Battle, and they got guys to replace the guys that they lost. But I think the biggest thing is Orlando Brown Jr., another help to the offensive line. It seems like they keep improving it every year. I like the Bengals as not only a contender, but maybe one of the top contenders in the whole entire NFL.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we see them right back in Super Bowl contention and in that AFC Championship game again.
Yeah, and now to a team that made the NFC Championship and unfortunately lost due to a couple of injuries. The San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, he might miss some time, but they do have Trey Lance. But I don't think the quarterback matters as much for that team as it does for others, just because they are the deepest team. They are the most well put together team in football. Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams on the offensive line. The defense goes on. Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Talola Hufanga. Like, they got dogs. Like, and I don't see a weakness on this team. And I think with that Kyle Shanahan offense, the quarterback can be, mitigated a little bit no matter how good or bad it is. Trey Lance, as much as people want to hate on him, we really haven't seen him play. He's gotten hurt both years he's tried to start. So if he comes in and he plays well, maybe he's better than Brock Purdy. Maybe he's not. But Brock Purdy will return at some point next season, and I think that they'll pick up right where they left off. And maybe we see an actual 49ers versus Eagles NFC Championship game with Brock Purdy not getting injured within the first quarter.
I definitely would agree. I think that that's a very likely candidate for an NFC Championship game again this year. And unfortunately, as the audience knows already, I'm not a big Niner fan. I hate them. But I will sit here and admit that the San Francisco 49ers are the most complete team in the NFL right now. Maybe them and the Eagles are 1 and 2, but I think that the San Francisco 49ers have a little bit more firepower than the Eagles do, per se. One big thing that I think you mentioned here is it really, I think you could throw me in at quarterback with the Niners, and I think I would have some good success over there in San Francisco because there's just so much talent everywhere you look. Offensive line, there's talent. Receivers, there's talent. Running back, you got talent. And you got, not to mention, Christian McCaffrey, but you also got Elijah Mitchell, who was once a starting running back for the Niners. So they have so much talent scattered across the board, offensively, defensively, no matter how you slice it. The Niners got it. They got it.
And we've gone through their roster, and both of us went through their Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel. We haven't even mentioned George Kittle yet.
Right.
So they still have one of the best tight ends. And Brandon Ayuk, like, this team is so well put together that really, I think, like you said, I think you could hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey 20 times a game, and they at least would be close to winning the game, and maybe if you're playing Chicago. But to this next team, before you announce it,
yes,
they always say it's their year, and maybe it is. This is the first year I will say I have put this team into a contending spot. But now I'll let you announce the team.
I think Trav spoiled it a little bit there, but if you didn't know already, It's the Dallas Cowboys. I think that maybe this team is a little bit of a hotter topic being in the contenders side of things here. But they do have a lot of talent. They fixed the corner spot that they had, the issue that they had last year, adding Stephon Gilmore, who is an absolute dog back there at the cornerback position. They have arguably maybe the best player in football, period, Micah Parsons. I mean, maybe you can make an argument that Mahomes is a more important player, but Micah Parsons is right up there with being the best player in the league. They got a good O-line. Dak Prescott is back. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt and miss the first 5 games like he did last year. And now we could see what Tony Pollard can do now that he has the whole running back room to himself. There's no more Zeke to take carries away from him.
Yeah, I thought Tony Pollard was the more explosive player. I think he's going to give this Cowboys a jump. And they do lose Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, but now Mike McCarthy's calling the plays, who has won a Super Bowl in his past. So he has that experience. I think Dak Prescott struggled last year with a little bit of the interceptions, and I think Mike McCarthy, being more of a conservative player, more of a conservative play caller, can help the Cowboys mitigate some of those, mistakes that they were making last year, because they do have the stars. If they don't make the mistakes, CeeDee Lamb, they not forget they added Brandon Cooks to replace Amari Cooper, who they lost 2 years ago. They still have Michael Gallup. I think that they have the capability, at least on offense and even on defense with DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, to be one of the best teams in football. And I know that we love hating on the Cowboys. It's every NFL fan's favorite thing to do. But you just got to look at the talent there. Micah Parsons could win DPOY, and CeeDee Lamb could finish over 1,500 yards and 10 touchdowns. I think if Dak Prescott can get it together, go back to the season, his rookie year when he had 13-3, and he didn't throw as many interceptions as he has in the past, this team may be a contender. Not saying that they would win the Super Bowl, but they could make it to an NFC Championship game.
I wouldn't put it past them whatsoever, Travis.
Yeah, these Dallas Cowboys, I think they might surprise some people, and I hate to say it, but they might be a contender. And I know that we like to hate on them, but I think we have to give the respect where it's due. And maybe they can't beat Philly, maybe they can't beat San Francisco, but I think they're definitely a top 5 or 6 team in the league, which puts them in that contender spot.
100% agree. I think that there's a special someone that watches the Two Trouble podcast and just Two Trouble in general that might very much like seeing this team up here in the contender spot.
Yes.
AJ, you're welcome.
Definitely. He would definitely enjoy that. But I want to hear you guys. Really, I think a lot of these teams, Kansas City, Philadelphia, in the contender spots, pretty obvious. Pretenders, Miami Dolphins, Jaguars, pretty obvious. I want to see what you think about the Bills and the Cowboys. Those are the 2 controversial teams that we have up in the contenders and pretenders. I want to see where you have the Bills. Do you have the Bills as a contender? Do you have the Cowboys as a contender or a pretender? Comment down below what you think. But as always, cue that outro, baby.
Peace.